Canto 4, 1. Although deceit is most disapproved, seeming to show a mild mind malevolent, many a time it brings, as has been proved, advantages that are self-evident, and mortal threats and danger has removed. Not all we meet with are benevolent. In this our life so full of envious spite, and gloomier by far than it is bright. 2. If long experience and labor, too, are indispensable before you find a friend who's staunch, reliable, and true, to whom you would confide your innermost mind, what is Roguero's a lovely maid to do? To Brunel's trickery she is not blind. She knows his villainy for what it is, through all his sly pretense, forewarned, she sees. 3. She too dissembles, as the case demands, with one who is the father of all lies, and on his thieving and rapacious hands, as I remarked before, she keeps her eyes. Then suddenly a mighty uproar rends the air. The maid exclaims, "Lord of the skies, O Virgin Mother, what is all this din?" And with these words she rushes from the inn. 4. She sees the host and all his household there, sees some at the windows, others in the street. Faces upturned into the sky they stare, as if a comet or eclipse to greet. So marvelous a wonder in the air, the maid beholds that few will credit it. A horse with wings and of enormous size, which bears a knight in armor as it flies. 5. Its wings were wide and of the strangest hue. Between them sat a knight, from heel to crest, in shining armor, polished as if new. Keeping a steady course towards the west, beyond the hills he disappears from view. This cavalier, the host informs his guests, was a magician. Here the truth he spoke. And, far or near, this was the route he took. 6. Sometimes high up among the stars he flies, at other times close to the ground he'll skim, and any lovely woman whom he spies he snatches up and carries off with him. The wretched damsels he so terrifies that any who are beautiful or deem they are he takes whichever he can get, remain indoors until the sun has set. 7. He has a castle in the Pyrenees, the host continued, built by magic art of shining steel, so beautiful it is, in the whole world there is no counterpart. Of all the cavaliers who visit this enchanted place, none, they say, depart. It's my belief, good sir, I greatly fear, they're put to death or held as captives there. 8. Fair Bradamante to his words attends, and it is well, for sooner now than late, the magic of the ring the maid intends to try, and to succeed will be her fate. "Have you a guide," she asks, "among your friends? I must be gone. My longing is so great to challenge this magician to a fight, and test my strength against his magic might." 9. You need not lack a guide," Brunello said. "I'll come with you and keep you company. I have instructions of the road ahead, and other aids of use to you and me." He meant the ring, but he left that unsaid. To speak of it, he thought, unwise would be. "Gladly," replies the maid. Her meaning is the ring will soon be hers, no longer his. 10. What it was good to say she said, on all that might endanger her she's wisely mum. The landlord has a charger in his stall, in battle strong and roadworthy. The sum required she pays, and buys the animal. And when the light of a new day has come, she takes her way along a narrow vale, Brunel now at her head, now at her tail. 11. Mounting from hill to hill, from wood to wood, they climb at last to where the Pyrenees reveal, if visibility is good, both France and Spain, together with both seas, as on the Apennines, whoever stood near the Camolida could view with ease. 2 coastlines. By a harsh and weary route they clamber downward to the valley's foot. 12. A massive cliff, its top encircled by a wall of steel, they gaze at from below. Towards the heaven it ascends so high, all nearby peaks, compared with it, seem low. Those who would visit it need wings to fly, else wasted effort it would be to go. Brunello said, "Here's where the soldier holds cavaliers and ladies prisoner." 13. The walls on every side as steeply drop, as if by line and plummet built. 4 square, no steps, it seems, give access to the top. Winged creatures only can inhabit there. This is the place where they must make their stop. The hour has come, the valiant maids aware, for her to take possession of the ring and kill Brunello without dallying. 14. And yet a coward's act to her it seems, to kill a man so lowly and unarmed. To take possession of the ring she schemes, and leaves Brunello helpless but unharmed. Of what's in store for him he little dreams. Before he has the time to feel alarmed, he's seized and fastened to a giant fir, the magic ring surrendered up to her. 15. His tears, his groans, his chagrins, and his woes on valiant Bradamante have no power, and down the mountain path she slowly goes, till in the plain she stands beneath the tower. There in defiance on her horn she blows, which brings the necromancer from his bower. Her challenge sounds next with many a shout, with many a threat she boldly calls him out. 16. Not long the man of sorcery delayed, when he had heard the challenge of the horn. On his winged horse towards the warrior made, whom he believes to be a man he's born. She at first sight of him is not afraid, keeping him well in view. She could have sworn he had no lance, no sword, no club to harm her, no weapon which could pierce or break her armor. 17. His shield in a vermilion cloth was draped. In his right hand he held an open book, whence marvellous phenomenon he shaped. A lance which hurtled through the air and took his adversary by surprise, who gaped at nothingness with an astonished look. Or with a dagger or a club he smote from far away by a control remote. 18. His horse was not a fiction, but instead the offspring of a griffin and a mare. Its plumage, 4 feet, muzzle, wings, and head, like those of its paternal parents were. The rest was from its dam inherited. It's called a hippogriff. Such beasts, though rare, in the Rippean mountains far beyond the icy waters of the north are found. 19. By magic arts he brought it to the west. Then with determination and insistence he straightway set himself to train the beast. Within a month, by patience and persistence, he reined and saddled it. At his behest it bore him now without the least resistance. On earth and in air no magic creature, but real and true, a prodigy of nature. 20. The rest of the magician's stock and trade, unlike the horse, was supernatural. This mattered little to the valiant maid. The ring, she knew, made her invulnerable. She flashed a cut or two with her good blade, and put her charger through its paces. All her feints and thrusts she tried as though she fought, obeying the instructions she was taught. 21. When on her charger she had exercised, the maid decided to perform, dismounted, the actions her instructress had advised. On all his arts the necromancer counted, but above all the magic shield he prized, whose piercing ray had never disappointed. Thus of its efficacy being certain, from its bright surface he removed the curtain. 22. He could straightway have used it on his foe, but he preferred to hold a knight at bay, taking a cruel pleasure in a show of swordsmanship and skilful lance display, as a sly cat, deliberately slow, when he has caught a mouse, will sometimes play. Then, when he wills, and only when he wills it, he makes a sudden pounce on it, and kills it. 23. The knight, the mouse, the sorcerer, the cat, resembled in such contests hitherto, but now the case was altered, tit for tat, as valiant Bradamante drew nearer. Alert, she watched his every move, so that no vantage he should gain. And when she knew that he intended to expose the shield, she shut her eyes and laid, stretched on the field. 24. The shining metal had not injured her, as it had injured others who preceded. Her plan had been to make the sorcerer dismount, and in that purpose she succeeded. As soon as she lay down, the hoverer, urging his mount as quickly as was needed, yet with a swifter fluttering of wings, swoop down to earth in widely spreading rings. 25. The shield appended to his saddle bows, with its silken covering he hid. To the recumbent maid on foot he goes. She, like a wolf in ambush for a kid, awaits him, and, as soon as he is close, leaps up and grasps him in a single bid to overpower him. The wretch, alas, has left his book of magic on the grass. 26. With his own chain the valiant maid belayed him, which round his waist the necromancer wore. She thought no less a fetter would have stayed him, and often he had used it thus before. Already helpless on the ground she'd laid him, and quite inert all this affront he bore. I cannot blame him, helpless, weak, and old, no match for Bradamante, strong and bold. 27. Planning to cut off the magician's head, triumphantly she lifted her right arm, but when she saw his face, all rage she shed. A poor revenge it seemed to do him harm. No worthy foe she had undone, instead a sad old man who trembled with alarm, white-haired and wrinkled in his helplessness. 70 he seemed, or little less. 28. For God's sake, take my life, young man, he cried, in accents both of anger and despair. Yet gladly as the old man would have died, the valiant maid was loath to grant his prayer. First, on these points she would be satisfied. Who was he? And this castle in the air, why had he built it in so a wild a place? Why did he prey thus on the human race? 29. With excellent intentions, woe is me, the aged necromancer weeping said. I built my stronghold yonder, as you see, not for my own advantage I led to rapine, but to save from jeopardy a gentle knight. For in the stars I read that by a traitor's hand he'll meet his death, ere long converted to the Christian faith. 30. The sun, gazing on both the hemispheres, sees nowhere else so beautiful a youth. Ruggiero is his name, from tenderest years I nurtured him. Now fate, harsh and uncouth, and thirst for glory bring him where he nears disaster, serving argument. In truth, I love him more than if he were my son. All that I do for him alone. 31. I built the fortress with one aim in view, to keep Ruggiero safe. I captured him, just as today I plan to capture you. I also caught, to please his every whim, brave cavaliers and ladies, not a few, and men-at-arms, stalwart and strong of limb, that, though he is deprived of liberty, he might find solace in their company. 32. That they may stay contentedly confined, I make their every need my sole concern. From every quarter, joys of every kind, games, music, clothing, food at every turn, all pleasures, all amusements you will find, for which the lips can ask, the heart can yearn. The seed I sowed was yielding a fine crop, but now to all my plans you put a stop. 33. But if your heart does not your face belie, do not divert my purpose from its course. Accept my magic shield, a gift which I, Atlante, make to you, to take my swift horse and leave my castle. If you must deny me this request, then take without remorse 1 or 2 captives, or take all you meet, but leave my Ruggiero, I entreat. 34. But if to grant this favor you refuse, before you take him back to France, I pray, my soul from its involtries set loose, wherein it dwells in squalor and decay. The valiant maid thus answered him, I choose to freeze Ruggiero. Nothing you can say will alter my resolve. Your shield and horse I take as mine by right, no longer yours. 35. But even were they yours to give and take, it seems to me they would be poor exchange. You say you hold Ruggiero for his sake, to save him from his evil stars. How strange! Either the heavens' portent you mistake, else, though you clearly see, you cannot change his fate. You cannot now foretell your own. How can another's doom to you be known? 36. I will not kill you, vain are all your pleas. if no one will oblige the fatal blow, if you still long to meet with your decease, you can inflict upon yourself. Now go, and first, ere your spirit you release, open the door of all your prisons. So the maid commanded, urging as she spoke the captive sorcerer towards the rock. 37. So, bound with his own chain, Atlante went, with the bold warrior maiden at his back. She did not trust him, nor did she relent, being not convinced by his apparent lack of guile. Not far along the gradient they climbed before they found a hidden crack, whence massive stairways spiraled to the top, and to the castle threshold led them up. 38. The necromancer here removes a block, inscribed with cabalistic signs. Below are vases which continuously smoke, containing hidden fires. With a fell blow, the enchanter breaks them. At this magic stroke, the hill grows desolate and bleak, and lo, the walls are gone, nowhere a tower is seen, as if the edifice had never been. 39. The sorcerer that instant from his chain escaped, as from a net a thrush will do. He and his castle went from the train at the same moment, setting free anew the knights and ladies. Some of these, I mean the ladies, from superb apartments to the countryside transferred, in no small measure, were disappointed by such a loss of pleasure. 40. Gradicio there is seen, and Scarpante, Prasilidio also, the brave cavalier, who with Rinaldo, when from the Levant he came, had journeyed. Aroldo, too, his peer, and finally the lovely Bradamante finds her Ruggiero, whom she holds so dear. As soon as he is certain it is she, he rides to welcome her most joyfully.